She left, and the room went quiet in a way you could feel in your bones. The kind of quiet that makes clocks sound loud and the ceiling feel too close. Your chest carried a weight you couldn't name. You kept replaying the last conversation, looking for a line you could change, a word you could pull back, a version of you that might have been enough. You scrolled photos, read messages, checked timestamps like they were coordinates that could guide you home. But there was no map for this. Just silence. Just you. For a while, you lived in the echo. You kept your phone close like a lifeline. You tried to bargain with memories. You wondered if love meant accepting less and less, until nothing felt like too much to ask. You learned how long nights can be. You learned how heavy a breath can feel. You learned how easy it is to forget yourself when you're trying to be unforgettable to someone else. Then something small shifted, so small no one else would notice. You turned the phone face down. You stood up and made your bed. You drank a glass of water like it was a decision. You opened a window and let cold air hit your face. And for the first time in days, you remembered. You are a man. You are not a ghost haunting old pictures. You are not an apology with a heartbeat. You are not the echo of someone else's decisions. You are the one who chooses who you become next. You stopped trying to win an argument that ended without you. You let the verdict stand and refused to appeal your worth. You didn't send the paragraph. You didn't pick the fight. You let the space stay empty and watched how quickly your soul started to breathe again. The quiet didn't break you this time. It introduced you to the part of you that doesn't need permission to exist. You began the work. Not the kind that posts well, but the kind that changes a man from the inside out.
You lifted when you were tired, not to punish yourself, but to prove to yourself that you still show up. You ran slow miles and let your thoughts untangle at their own pace. You learned the discipline of sleep, the simplicity of clean food, the honesty of a cold shower. You stood under the water and let the shock remind you, pain can't stop you, it can only wake you up. You read the pages you used to avoid because they told the truth too clearly. You journaled like a surgeon, cutting out lies, stitching in standards. You put your name on a schedule and kept the appointment even when your feelings didn't show. You watched the sun rise on mornings when it would have been easier to keep the curtains closed. And every time you kept your word to yourself, your spine grew a little straighter. You didn't seek revenge, you sought order. You cleaned your room, your inbox, your mind. You canceled old subscriptions to chaos. You revisited your money like a man who plans to be free. You learned to say no without explanation and yes without regret. You checked your circle. Men who sharpen you stayed. Men who soften your standards quietly drifted away. You built a small, strong life and discovered it was never small. It was focused. You stopped performing worthiness. You stopped auditioning for validation. You stopped mistaking intensity for intimacy and chaos for chemistry. You learned the difference between attention and respect, between being needed and being chosen, between being tolerated and being treasured. You recognized that love without boundaries is not love, it's erosion, and you refused to erode. You started to carry yourself like the man you were always meant to be. Not loud, not fragile, not hungry for eyes, just present, just steady. You didn't rush to fill silences because you finally understood. Silence is where your strength speaks. You didn't hurry to fix what didn't belong to you because you finally knew. Peace is not something you plead for, it's something you protect. People noticed. They couldn't name it at first, but they felt it. The air around you changed.
Your laughter carried weight. Your no landed clean. Your yes meant something. The room didn't own you anymore. You belonged to yourself inside it. And the more you built in private, the less you needed in public. You became a man whose value was no longer on trial. Some nights the old ache tried to visit. It found the door locked. Not from bitterness, from clarity. You weren't running from the past. You were walking toward a future with standards. The boy who needed to be chosen became a man who chooses. The man who begged became a man who builds. The man who waited for permission became a king who grants it to himself. And yes, she might look back. She might see your name and feel a thud in her chest. She might notice the stillness in your eyes and realize you no longer negotiate with your peace. She might understand, finally, that the version of you she left was unfinished, not unworthy. But that story isn't yours to write anymore. You're not curating regret. You're curating a life. You learn that masculine strength is not the absence of feeling, it's the governance of it. You learn that desire is a servant, not a master. You learn that dignity is expensive and must be paid for daily in choices no one applauds. You learn that a boundary isn't a wall to keep love out. It's a doorframe that invites only what honors you to enter. You learned patience that doesn't plead, confidence that doesn't parade, and kindness that doesn't contort. You became the kind of man who is dangerous to his excuses and gentle with his promises. The kind of man who doesn't chase storms. He reads the sky and builds the house to stand through them. The kind of man who doesn't need to be understood to be unshakable. Your life stopped being a reaction. It became a response. Clean, calm, certain. King isn't a crown on your head. It's order in your soul. It's the quiet pride of a man who carries his name with care. It's the strength to walk away without theatrics, and the courage to return to the mirror until the man staring back is someone you respect. It's the weight you can hold, the truth you can tell, the path you can stay on when the world offers shortcuts. It's the way you treat your body, your time, your word, and the way you refuse to treat anyone as the container for a loneliness you're now brave enough to face. You were broken, yes, and because you were broken, the light could get in. Through the cracks you found the blueprint. Brick by brick, rep by rep, page by page, prayer by prayer. You rebuilt. Not into a harder man, but into a wiser one. Not into a colder heart, but into a guarded one. Not into a louder presence, but into a deeper one. Now, when the night comes, you don't fear the quiet. You honor it. You sit with it like an old teacher and let it tell you what still needs forming. You don't ask the past to send you messages. You send one to the future and meet it halfway at sunrise. You understand that love may arrive again, and if it does, it will find you standing, centered, generous, without the hunger that turns men into shadows. If it doesn't arrive, you are still whole. Because the point was never to be chosen by someone else. The point was to choose the life that makes your soul stand up straight. The point was to become a man you're proud to be when no one's watching. The point was to set a standard so clear that everything unworthy disqualifies itself without you needing to fight it. So keep going. Keep your promises. Keep your mornings. Keep your word. Keep your peace like a passport. What deserves entry? Build slow. build true. Build the kind of life that cannot be taken because it was never borrowed. She left you broken. You rebuilt into a king. And a king doesn't look back to prove it. He looks forward and leads. If this spoke to you, like the video so it reaches the brother who needs it. Subscribe for more Stoic guidance and discipline growth. Comment below with, "I choose the crown." And tell me, what's the one habit you're committing to this week to keep rebuilding?